Hello and welcome. I am your host, The Hidden One, and let's get right into the video. Today I will be interviewing Matt, aka Galactus the Hungry, a very new YouTuber like myself who creates videos covering all aspects of Marvel, whether it be the MCU movies or the comics themselves. Hello Matt, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you doing there?
I'm alright, thank you. Just had a busy weekend, very productive weekend. How about yourself? Like, have you been busy?
Um, I've been reading a lot of comics, ordering a lot of comics. So yeah, pretty busy.
What comics have you been buying?
I've been buying Jonathan Hickman's Infinity Saga. Sorry, Jonathan Hickman's run on Avengers and New Avengers. That's what I'm going through.
Oh, very nice. And is that partially because of the channel? Is that something you want to do to help with the channel? Or is it also just your own interest? A bit of both.
Well, the comics are pretty widely regarded as some of the best ever written. Jonathan Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers, and also I wanted to do them on my channel, and I like to get a good read of the comics before, so I really know what I'm talking about.
Have you ever read that series before, or is that something that's going to be new to you?
No, it's gonna be completely new to me, so I'm
Oh,
interested
awesome.
into them. Yeah,
Oh, I hope you enjoy it.
I'm sure I will.
So, most of my audience probably doesn't know you. So, would you mind giving an sort of an explanation as to what you do, what sort of things that you put out on your channel?
Sure. I do basically everything to do with Marvel comics, Marvel movies. Focused mainly around Marvel comics with emphasis on I do some narrations of popular comics and I explain it as I'm going. And I've also started doing some like top 10 videos, like top 10 Marvel's most powerful characters, stuff like that.
Brilliant. Yeah, your videos are very good, and you've done well. But you're not a stranger to YouTube, are you? You've had other channels before.
No, yeah, I've had the old Minecraft one that everyone makes, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, but it's good for experience and learning how to edit and all of those things, and it's good fun anyway. So
Definitely.
yeah, definitely something that a lot of people have done. I had a YouTube channel that I wasn't allowed to have, and I posted about 96 videos before my parents found out, and yeah, they weren't happy. Luckily, it's all deleted and sorted. And no, I'm not giving a name as to what it was.
Yeah,
Just in
put the
case
link in the
any
description.
yeah any cretin's gonna be stalking it. No, and why did you start the channel?
I started it because well, I watch a lot of comics, explaining comics, things like that, videos on YouTube, and lots of them kind of already consider that you know everything. So I thought that this would be quite a good way to get people who maybe just like the movies, get them more into the comics, something like that.
So you would be acting as a transition, if you like, a way of
Yeah,
helping people who are
something to
interested in the
sorry.
movies. Yeah, helping people that are interested in the movies, don't really know where to start with the comics, and you are there to basically offer a free service to help people get more involved in Marvel and the comics.
Yeah, I would say definitely to just for people who kind of know a little bit, maybe tiny bit about the comics. Maybe they bought one or two comics, um, just to kind of help expand their knowledge.
That's really good. And I mentioned before that you've had channels in the past. Do you see this channel as being more long term?
Uh, Definitely, I'd say this is the one I want to carry on with. I'm a lot more passionate about Marvel comics than I am about Minecraft and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, definitely, I want to keep it going. Hopefully,
What's your favourite video that you've made so far?
the favorite one that I've made would probably be my my first part of Marvel's top 100 most powerful characters. Um, probably purely based on how many people wrote in the comment section on it, and I got a lot of really good feedback.
And who do you think is the most powerful character in all of Marvel?
Well, in my opinion, the most powerful character in all of Marvel would be Thanos when he obtains the Astral Regulator from Jim Starlin's Infinity Ending. Although quite an obscure character, not many people know about them.
And you wouldn't consider Adam Warlock to be higher than Thanos?
Yeah, this is Thanos when he obtains this certain artifact that was because the way Marvel works is generally the kind of god creator of Marvel called the One Above All. Um, the way that the story of Infinity Ending goes is that they made some sort of artifact, and Thanos managed to get his hands on it and overthrow him and become the god of the Marvel universe. But it kind of raises that weird issue, like, can God make a rock that they can't lift?
Mm, yeah. Do you think that if had Adam Warlock got that item, that he would be more powerful than Thanos? I mean,
Um, I
or
would
like
say,
it's
yeah, sorry.
let's say both of them in the hypothetical situation both had that same item. Who would come out on top?
Well, I would say Thanos definitely is better. He's more accustomed to having objects of power. He's had like cosmic cubes and the Infinity Gauntlet a couple of times. When Adam Warlock got the Infinity Gauntlet in Infinity Aftermath by Jim Starlin, we saw he didn't handle it very well because he subconsciously he ended up making like two new villains because of it because in order for him to make the proper decisions that he thought with this absolute power, he split himself into like a good side and a bad side subconsciously, and there was obviously the good side which tried to like annihilate all evil, but then that would make everything like kind of worthless, and then the bad side which obviously tried to kill everything. So I would say Thanos.
Yeah, good arguments there. So we sort of got into talking quite heavily into Marvel, but obviously there's the DC universe, and I was wondering, what are your thoughts on DC in general?
Um, Generally, I like some of the movies. I don't think really that they were put together as well as Marvel movies. Like I think some of them are definitely very good. Like Joker and Wonder Woman are quite good. Um, but I wouldn't say that they were. It seems like Marvel movies were put together with lot more care, and it's a lot more rewarding. I would say to watch the Marvel, well, the Phase 1 to Phase 4.
I would agree. I think that the Marvel films have overall been better in terms of how they've been managed and how they've actually been made and the quality of the films overall. I mean, sure, you have like bad eggs like Thor: The Dark World, but every franchise has the black sheep. If you get what I mean. And I think that DC has had a bit of a rough run in terms of casting and
Definitely.
also the vision. I think that the Snyder vision for DC is not necessarily the traditional DC
Mm.
route that most DC fans would want, but I'm still open to it. I think that when you watch a DC film, in particularly the ones like Joker, where have been very good. It's sort of refreshing coming from Marvel because oh, this leads me on to my next question. Do you think the Marvel films have become somewhat formulaic?
Well, I would say that obviously when you think about it, the way that they've done it is I wouldn't say formulaic because what they've done is they've obviously with your phase one you start building all the characters and kind of slowly knitting it together. But I would say that it's kind of been like one long run that they've done. They haven't really seemed to repeat themselves at all. I think it may be formulaic in the way that once we start with phase four, we'll start introducing new characters who are going to become their main characters. So, like for example, I don't know, Doctor Strange will have a more significant role. So will Spider-Man. Things like that. And that will eventually build up to another large thing like Avengers Endgame. So I still think it's a good way to do movies. I don't think it gets boring if you did that.
I think I agree with you. I think as well, particularly with Phase 4, any criticisms of the MCU being formulaic will just go out the window with Phase 4 because I think they're going to try and do something extremely different from what's come before because they know that Phase 1 to 3 was a great success, but equally now they're not aiming for the same goal as those films. They're going to be doing something different. So I think we're going to get some very unusual stuff. I mean, WandaVision, for example, is very different to what we've seen before.
Definitely. I mean, you could barely tell anything from it from the trailer. I mean, well, you can tell some things, but it's very difficult to kind of make out what's actually going to happen in it and what it's going to be based around. I like to think it would be based around the very popular Marvel story M Day, which is it's one where Scarlet Witch goes crazy trying to bring her two sons who she thought she had back, and like that may be the role of Vision. She's trying to bring Vision back, and she ends up going crazy and wiping out a very large percent of the world's mutants, which I think could be an interesting way of introducing the X-Men into the Marvel
Oh
Cinematic
wow!
Universe.
Oh
Yeah.
wow! That yeah, brilliant. Yeah, that could definitely be a way.
Also, there's tiny little Easter egg. You know, in the WandaVision trailer when Wanda's pouring the wine on it, um, on the wine bottle it said Maison de Mépris, which translates to pretty roughly to House of Contempt, which could be like a little hint to House of M.
Ah, okay, okay. So on the topic of Phase 4, how do you think the MCU is going to have been affected or changed due to the tragic death of Chadwick Boseman?
Oh yeah, I think it's really sad what happened. Definitely. The way that I think they're gonna do it. I think it'll go down one of two options where it will either be a bit like the comics where Shuri is the Black Panther, because Shuri's the Black Panther in the modern comics. Um, so it will either be Shuri as Black Panther and like they'll do something very formal about the original Black Panther's death, or they may attempt to CGI Chadwick Boseman back in, but I'm not sure whether they'll go down that route, or whether it might offend some people.
Yeah, I know that with the Star Wars community, have you watched Rogue One?
Yes, I have. I can never remember the name of the character who they CGI'd back in.
Yeah, so they CGI'd in Grand Moff Tarkin, who is
Yeah, that's it.
I'm trying to remember the actor's name. I think it's Peter Cushing.
Okay.
Forgive me if I'm wrong. Anyone very smart that's listening. Um, I think it's Peter Cushing. Um, and it was sort of like mixed thoughts. They did ask Peter's relatives if they were comfortable with him being CGI'd in, and they were. So props to them for checking first. But
Mm.
it's weird, and it's also it is a morally difficult. It's an ethically difficult choice to make,
Yeah,
and
you
I
wouldn't want it
agree.
to scrap the plans.
Yeah, it's going to be weird. Whatever they do, it's not going to be a smooth transition. I don't see how it can be. Either they're going to have to do a load of exposition to explain why he's just no longer around, or they're just going to ignore it, and then it'll be jarring because people know that he's not there.
Yeah, in the because in the comics, obviously, you can't have the actor of the comics die because there isn't any. But in the comics, what happens is Black Panther kind of he kind of moves away from Wakanda into kind of the bigger picture of saving the universe, and he becomes like the king of the dead. And I think maybe I don't know if they'll implement that in, but like basically, there comes like a decision where Black Panther chooses like the good of the universe over the good of Wakanda, and then like all the Panther gods like cast him out, and he becomes the King of the Dead because the Panther god Bast gives him like still has faith in him, so they make him the King of the Dead, and that may be a way that we see him again. I reckon they will at least see like some CGI version of him, like you know how his father came down, like in the kind of Panther realm that they go to when you've had the heart-shaped herb.
Yeah.
I definitely think we might see him like that.
How do you edit your videos?
I used to make a lot of Marvel edits back in the day, so I use Viva Video, the premium version, on my phone, because I don't really need huge amount of video editing skill for what I'm doing. I'm not it's not like gameplay or anything. But that's what I use. It's just basic transitions, basic pictures, things like that.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Whatever works, to be honest. And, you know, people don't know whether you've been editing on a phone or not. You know, like my brother, the Sith C, he edits on his phone still, and he's doing gameplay stuff. So it's whatever works.
Definitely. I mean, as that and the trusty Apple screen recorder app. The built-in one, not the illegal ones you can get.
Oh yeah, of course. So, like, no one's ever done anything illegal ever. No. So, and then on to my other question: what do you record with? Obviously, you don't know how to record because, well, would you like to share with the audience why you can't record?
I'm inept at using OBS. I wouldn't say if I was to record gameplay or something, I'm really bad with the video recording software on computers. I find the ones on my phone so much easier. I'd very much like to learn one on the computer, so that might definitely be a thing over Christmas to learn. Get used to OBS.
Yeah, definitely. The sooner you can learn how to edit on a computer, the better, because it's a much easier and more comfortable experience editing on a laptop or a computer versus working on a phone.
Yeah, I would also say though, for what I'm doing, for something really simple, I can find it can be a little bit more time efficient to do it on your phone rather than computer, because things like screen record. No, I'm not actually sure how you get the clips on computer, but I think it's a little more time consuming using a computer. It seems like computers almost designed to do something a little bit better than this.
Well, if you want any recommendations for software for editing, I'm always happy to help you.
I'll definitely have a look at that later.
Yeah. But Matt, you did sidestep the question. There's a reason why we're recording the podcast again. Well, the interview again.
Well, we did record a whole interview before this, and my mic wasn't on during the whole thing.
Yeah. So yeah. It was half an hour of white noise on Matt's end. Very
I feel
epic.
like I let you down.
It's all right. I mean, it was a good conversation anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was enjoyable. It was fine. I didn't mind.
Definitely. Even if we're not recording, good to have a catch up.
Yeah, exactly. Which YouTubers inspire you? I mean, obviously I do, but who else?
Well, apart from the obviously you, my favourite YouTuber, there would be there's a YouTuber called Comics Explained. They've got around 1.5 million, I think, subscribers, and they do lots of comic explanations. They do lots of series like Beyond Omega Level Mutants, just explaining incredibly powerful characters and some kind of and just all characters really. And they've just if you're interested in anything Marvel, like it's on there if you want to have a look. I'd definitely recommend go seeing them. Obviously after you've seen me, but definitely recommend go seeing them.
Yeah, because obviously your channel's the better version of them.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, there's a reason I've got 20 subscribers and they've got like 1 million more.
Uh, um, seriously though, so are they the most subscribed comics channel?
For what they do, which is explaining comics, I believe they are. There are other very popular channels like Comic Storian, but they just purely narrate the comic. They don't explain it. I
Ah,
don't think
okay.
there are
Ah,
several other
okay.
less. Yeah, sorry.
Hmm. No, 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 it's fine. Um, where would you like to take your channel in the future?
Well, in the future, I would definitely like to start getting the people who view the videos more involved because I've started doing that by like asking people, what I've got ideas here. Which one do you think's the best? Because obviously, it's doing what the viewers want, and similarly expanding into I may want to take a little dab at like try a little bit of DC comics because apparently the
Oh,
comics
good,
are
good.
pretty good um well obviously the comics have quite a bit of a higher reputation than the movies for DC. There are some excellent DC stories. Also just other comics of pretty much all genres like um I've like some mangas maybe. There's like ones from the Spawn universe, stuff like that I think would be really interesting. But also videos like ones I've started like Marvel's Top 100 Most Powerful, where you can really get people involved and say what they think about it.
I always think that the most successful YouTubers, well, at least at first, are the ones that interact with their audience and they don't act above their audience. They're on the same level. They just create content for people like them, and it's a good time. It's a way to make friends and do something that you're passionate about.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, I've gone like obviously I go on loads of I love looking in the comment sections of big Marvel big Marvel people, like looking at like Marvel's top 100 most powerful characters is a great example. Like looking in the comments there's so many people who are just like, oh yeah, I would change this about the list, or I think this is great about the list, and I love having discussions with people about that because, I mean, generally when with like real hardcore comic fans, when you're getting like really high up with power levels, it's all about opinion. So I like listening to the reasoning behind things.
Are there any comic book series or comic runs that you would recommend to my viewers?
If you want a good comic book series or comic book run, I would definitely recommend Avengers and New Avengers by Jonathan Hickman is a brilliant one. The Infinity Saga by Jim Starlin is also amazing. I would say if you're into DC, one of the ones that I'm very looking forward to going for is one called Deceased, like deceased but DC East, which is like one where it's one with like zombies that take over the DC universe, but apparently it's really well done.
Have you played the Avengers PS? Well, the Avengers game, which is released on PS4 and Xbox. And if so, what do you think of it? And if you haven't, then have you heard about the criticism and the mixed reviews that it's faced?
I've definitely seen. I don't actually have the game. I don't play many games on PS4. I'm mostly on the PC or Switch, but I would. I'm not. I don't actually know too much about the game. I've obviously seen the game. I think from what I've seen, it looks quite good. I think some of the actors in there look pretty cool. I think some of the gameplay looks awesome. I'm not actually too sure what were the reviews that happened to it.
Well, a lot of people felt that the reason that it came out in the first place was from a cash grab. They want people wanted to make a quick buck after Avengers
Okay.
Endgame and Infinity War, and then the actual gameplay itself is reportedly not particularly good, and it's a lot of button mashing, and
Uh,
um, then parts of the story itself have not been too good. Let's say I haven't played it myself, but I'm obviously open to giving it a go. But I just wondered what you thought, seeing as obviously you've got a plethora of knowledge of Marvel knowledge, and
Hmm.
Obviously, you're quite in touch with everything Marvel and all of that.
Yeah, I would say the villain is MODOK in the game, right?
Yeah.
Well, because I was thinking about that recently. Because the actual villain of MODOK is quite often in Marvel Comics considered quite like a low to mid tier villain. Really, when I was looking, because I like looking at things like playing of the game on YouTube, stuff like that. I thought that, sorry, the phone ringing. Um, but I would say that they, I would think that there would be like some higher villain behind it as opposed to MODOK, who I believe they're advanced idea mechanics in the comics, but I don't think that. I feel like that's a little underwhelming not to have a character who's a little like even like a mid to high tier villain would be a lot more interesting because it's not very comic accurate. Because in the comics, like the Avengers would just they'd wreck MODOK easy.
I'm going to check that now. Yeah, it is MODOK. You're right.
Hmm.
MODOK is the main character. That stands for mechanized organism designed only for
Only for
killing.
killing, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Big fat
What a
head in a chair.
strange name. Yeah, yeah. That maybe it's a very deliberate decision.
Perhaps.
Maybe they wanted to choose a more lesser known minor villain, because they want to save some of these bigger villains for the actual films, or maybe they couldn't get permission from Disney
Definitely.
and the MCU.
Perhaps they
Yeah.
maybe I'm not sure if I haven't played the game. I haven't got to the end of it, but perhaps there may be a hint in the end to other things going on.
Mm.
I would say
Mm.
who do you what do you think? Who do you think the MCU's next big villain is going to be?
Okay, so I'm split between two, and I don't think that we're going to have an overall arching villain for every single character for a long time. I
Yeah.
think that they're going to split things up so that you get groups of heroes fighting against one villain, and they're different conflicts going on around the same time.
Hmm.
So my two that I am thinking of are for individuals, I think it's going to be Norman Osborn and Galactus.
Hmm.
Um, and then as for as for Spider-Man, it's going to be the Sinister Six.
Definitely. I love the
Yeah,
Sinister Six. I think they're brilliant.
yeah.
They're
Could you
very
talk?
brilliantly written.
Yeah, talk more about your video on the Sinister Six. It was very good.
Yeah, I did do a video about the Sinister Six. You see, because a lot of people were saying, "Oh, they're who they think's going to be the villain in Spider-Man 3," and I had a look into it. And if you think about it, well, the obviously the Sinister Six in the comics, they change their members through time. There's maybe like nine of them with six at a time doing the general gist of it, but we've already seen pretty well quite a few of them in the MCU. Not even the expanded MCU, including like the old spot, like the Amazing Spider-Man and stuff like that. But you've got Mysterio, you've got other characters in there who we're thinking are coming back, like possibly Electro, and as well as that, there was a member of the team called Chameleon who could basically like shapeshift at all times, and you know that the Skrulls exist in the MCU, so that it could be
Yeah.
that. Mm. That's my thoughts on it.
Two more questions.
Sure thing.
Obviously you are this video is going to be on my channel as well as yours,
Yeah.
and so what is your favourite video of mine as of now?
Hmm. I would say probably. I mean, I don't actually know that much about Assassin's Creed, but let me think. Because there were a couple that you were doing recently. It's on a new update, right? In Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, so there are two that have come out recently that are on updates. There's one that was on the season pass that's going to be in Ireland and France. So that's really cool. And then there's also one that's on the assassinations.
Ah, interesting. I would say the one out of those that would probably interest me the most would be the battle not battle pass but the season pass. I quite like. It's kind of interesting how all games are doing that now.
Yeah, and there are not a huge number of big games left to release this year. There's Cyberpunk, obviously that's one that a lot of people are excited for. Then there's also Valhalla. So yeah, I think that's it. There might be a few others. Can you think of any more?
Any more things with
games releasing?
Games? Any more new games releasing?
Oh,
well,
there's Legion. Watch Dogs Legion's
Watch Dogs,
releasing.
definitely.
That series is losing popularity, but I think that the idea of changing things up was quite a smart move.
I feel like it may bring some people back to the franchise.
Yeah, it's a very unique system. The only problem with it is, but well, I don't know how much you know about it, but what they're doing is you don't play as a main single character in Watch Dogs Legion. Instead, you're able to basically play as anyone you like, and you basically have to restore London, and basically there's a whole private company that's going to be controlling London, and you have to liberate London because the government was stupid and sold security to a private company, which is obviously a realistic post-Brexit thing.
Yeah, I'm just thinking.
Obviously.
Wait a second.
I mean, this is a French publisher. What do you expect?
Oof, that's rough.
And then finally, obviously, my channel mainly focuses on games. What is your favourite game of all time?
My favourite game of all time, that I would say my favourite game of all time would probably go to the Nintendo game Pokemon Alpha Sapphire, which is probably, in my opinion, the best Pokemon game that they've made. I'm really into Pokemon. I love them. But that would definitely be my favourite game, purely because it was just like, it was amazing what they managed to do because I'm not sure how many years ago it was quite a while ago, but they managed to do some really cool stuff for a Nintendo game that we had almost never seen before.
Matt, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. You've been a great guest.
Likewise.
So if people want to, go and subscribe to your channel and view your videos, where can they do that? What is the name of your channel again?
The name of my channel is Galactus the Hungry. That's what it's good, and same on Instagram, just spelled out like that. No spaces, all of that. And it says comics and movies explained on the end of it, but I don't think that's really needed to view it.
Awesome. I'll put a link in the description so people can easily find it.
I'll do the same for you and mine.
Oh, that's very nice of you.
Shameless self-promotion.
Matt, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on. You're my first guest as me being an interviewer. So if I wasn't a very good interviewer, then let me know in the comments down below.
I'd say you're pretty good. Very good, really. I mean, wasn't really any awkward silences or any of that.
Yeah, it was alright, but don't draw attention to it. Alright. Thank you very much for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this interview, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye, guys.